So, hello, thank you for coming, guys. Welcome to this session. I'm Emily. I look after the Patreon community for Rhythm Section and organise lots of sort of masterclasses and workshops like this and various other activities that we have as part of Patreon. This session is much awaited after a few false starts before Christmas, but I'm really excited that we've got Amelia chatting to us about social media today. Amelia is part of the Rhythm Section team, so she's part of the fam, and also works for Brainchild Festival, so she's got double amounts of experience to share on the social media and marketing front. So Amelia, are you happy for people to jump in with questions as we go, or do you want to save that for the end?
I don't mind. If there's any burning questions that I don't mind people jumping in. I think there's definitely going to be time for questions at the end. But
things in the chat as well, that also works. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, and there's also an opportunity if you guys want it to have a little bit of not at all scary feedback on your Instagram profiles from Amelia, if you'd like that at the end.
Is that Tracy? Is that Abena that I can see?
Yeah. Hiya. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Friendly
I
face.
just found out about this on Twitter, so I thought I've got some time to come. Might as well learn something.
Oh my god. I hope so.
Shall I hand over to you then, and you can get going?
Sure. Okay. Cool. Well, hey guys. I haven't done a presentation like this before on Zoom, so feeling a bit nervous, but we'll see how we go. I think it's going to be fine. I'm going to share my screen with you. I've basically made a document which I'll share with you guys after this, and I'll just share my screen. And I'm just going to kind of run through it, and then also have some tabs open with like some things I might refer to. Yeah, I'm just gonna kind of like fire through this stuff. And I mean, actually, I do know, Tracy, about your, obviously I know a bit about what you might want this for, or like, what you're up to. Who else have we got in this chat? What's your name? Sorry, I can't see on the other person. Anyway, the other person who's in this.
Tariq.
Hey, sorry, what's your name?
Tariq,
cool. I don't know. What is there anything in particular that you're kind of like? Do you have your own like organization or brand or anything like that?
I do a bit. I DJ quite a bit, and I produce music.
Cool.
And my Instagram is a total mess. So
Cool, okay.
It's just all posters from events that I've played or festivals and things like that.
Okay. Also, Tracy, actually, I shouldn't be presumptuous about why you're here.
You were right, to be honest. It's exactly why I'm here, so it's fine. It's the same reason as Tariq.
Okay.
My Instagram's trash, so
I actually love your Instagram like persona. Not even persona, like it's just quite clearly you. That's why it's so nice.
I was just going to add that Zoya's just joined as well. Hey, Zoya.
Hey.
Hey.
We're just about to get started. I was just asking these guys a bit about what brings them here, but also basically because this is kind of a very like broad strokes in parts approach to like social media. I didn't really know what people's experience levels were or like where they were coming at this from, so I kind of like some of it might be a bit basic or self-explanatory, so if it is, we'll just skim through it and excuse that. But yeah, the place that I wanted to start in was thinking about your brand. And I think a lot of the time when if our social media presence or strategy seems a bit chaotic or non-existent, it's because we don't have a clear idea about like what it is that we're trying to sell or project. Also, when I was writing this, I didn't know whether it was going to be individuals or like, you know, brands or whatever. So sometimes I'm talking about brands, sometimes I'm talking about like more of a like company perspective, but like obviously you guys are individuals but have your own projects going on, I'm sure, that this could be useful for. So yeah, I think the best place to start is putting some time into crafting and drawing up a clear identity for your brand, whether that's as an individual or as an organization. Like you may think you know it inside out, or that you don't need to kind of you know, you are that person, so like, you know, what's the point in kind of spelling it out? But I think it's really useful to have that reference point, and I think it can be a revealing process and an exercise when it's all laid out, about in terms of like the aspects that you might want to dial up or dial down or like shine a light on. And yeah, I think as an exercise, maybe something like drawing up a clear like 10 clear and concise defining truth or descriptors like for your brand, and just as some like ideas to kind of get the ball rolling. Like values and ethos is obviously a big one for a lot of people, whether it's, you know, being community led or environmentally conscious, or like political or whatever it is. I've written some other things that might not necessarily apply to you guys, but maybe they will. You know, if you're making merch and stuff like this, you want it to be ethically produced, you want it to, you know, have a quality assurance. And then thinking about aims as well. I'm going to share this with you guys afterwards, just to say Zoya as well. So don't worry about trying to remember it all. I'm going to share this after, but yeah, and also thinking about how you want people to perceive your brand. What are the characteristics you're trying to convey? You know, like humorous or conscientious or anarchic, honest, cool, whatever it is. Because I'm sure we all have an idea about how we'd like other people to see us. I also know it might feel really weird to think about yourself in like such a contrived way. And actually, sometimes, a lot of the time, people just want it to feel really authentic. So you know, you might do this and then kind of just like throw it out the window. But I think sometimes, you know, useful things can come out of doing stuff like this. And as I say, this is slightly geared to more like slightly geared towards more if you're trying to sort of build a specific brand. But yeah, once you've kind of like mapped out a little, could be just like a little mind map or whatever of your brand, and you can start to see it in front of you. I think then yeah, you'll kind of have a better idea about where to go from there. I think consistency, another reason why I think it's good to have an idea about what your brand is and who you are, is like because consistency is important to people, you know, so they know how to talk about your brand, and also that people are talking about your brand in a way that you want them to, so that you can kind of like control that narrative to a degree. Visual identity is a really huge part of the brand image, and it's something that definitely should have some thought. But it's something that I work on the visual identity for Brainchild, and so basically, just to say Zoya as well for you, I ran the rhythm section socials, and sort of, I mean, that involves a lot of different sort of like branding and visual identity and like graphic-y things. Even though I'm not a graphic designer and I have incredibly limited skills in that department, so I've had to work with my team on that. But I did, yeah, I ran the rhythm section socials for a good few years. And then Henry, who some of you might know through Patreon or through Instagram or whatever, or real life even, he has taken over, and he's doing a wonderful job. He's really good at it. But I do the Brainchild socials as well, and I'm the comms manager at Brainchild, so I help develop our visual identity with one particular designer that we work with every year. We kind of build a new visual identity, and yeah, so if you, I mean, maybe you guys do have a graphic designer that you work with on particular projects. That's a really great position to be in, because I'm assuming that this would be someone that you've chosen because you really like their style, and you can just shape something with them that you like and that feels unique to you. And I think that is important, something that feels a little bit different, because it's really easy. This is something I'm quite conscious of at the moment. And, you know, having spent quite a lot of time looking at different different brands that are out there and what people are doing at festivals, labels, whatever it is, there's always trends. There's always like things that are quite clearly like in vogue, certain typeface, certain like colors, certain whatever it is. And then you start to kind of see them cropping up more and more, and before you know it, there's loads of really samey looking stuff out there. So it's really tempting to kind of like be drawn to something that feels cool, because it is cool at the moment, but it might not necessarily be the most timeless. You kind of want something when you're choosing something for a brand. You kind of want, well, it depends what it is. It depends whether it's for a logo or for a one-off project. And if it's for something that's more current and isn't going to be lasting you 10 years, then maybe it's okay to go with something that feels like a bit more of a trend at the time. But sorry, I'm really digressing on these different points. But I guess what I'm trying to say is it's good to think about what would represent the kind of uniqueness of your brand, or what makes your brand stand out, because yeah, a lot of the time stuff can get quite samey out there. So if you're working with a designer, that's just something to think about. But obviously graphic designers cost loads of money. Well, a lot of them do, some of them don't. But if you're not working with a designer, I think it's still good to think about simple ways that you can create visual through lines and visual cues and identifiers that convey the energy of the brand, and can be used to easily compartmentalize different aspects of it, i.e. products, events, call outs. I kind of worked with Henry. Henry's actually got his own record label called Local Knowledge, which is also a party, an event, a party. And I helped him I was helping him last year with some stuff that they were doing. I've got it up here because Henry's got like a really amazing, strong, like visual aesthetic. He really knows what he likes in that front, which is amazing. And like you're kind of off to a great start if you have a good eye for that stuff. And he's also a really sick graphic designer. But like he was doing these parties. What was I was talking about like little tags, but I was talking, oh my god, sorry, this navigation bar's come up at the top and now I can't click on the things that I want to click on. Okay, fine. Well, okay, it's gone. I think that even if you can't, he does these little things like he puts in like these little stickers, like these little labels, and we kind of developed this together, and it's just like quite a fun way to, without too much, he finds these things online, these like free image websites, and he just like
Mom, go away. Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry. I'm really sorry. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
I'm sorry.
No, oh my god, don't worry. That's hilarious. It's so fine. All know that one too well. So yeah, like even if you don't have a kind of a whole design for something, like a whole poster, sometimes there can be like little touches that you can add in that can create more of a visual through line. And there's also like here you can see he's got these like these banners at the side of these things for this project, and it just helps clearly like link them all together. Also, something that we do a lot with Brainchild, because basically we're not always able to like use our graphic designer. If we need to really get people's attention and let them know it's about something. Oh, it's not really coming up clearly on here, so maybe that's a bad example, but I didn't do that one actually. Where is good example? Okay, so like here, if we don't have time to make a graphic, or we can't make a graphic, then I kind of have a really clear heading in the first line of the copy of the caption. So that way you can just, even if you're just scrolling and it comes up, you can kind of see that there's a specific message going on there, and it just gives people that message quite clearly. Okay, I'm going to keep going through this because I keep getting sidetracked. Okay, so we're gonna have visual cues, commenters.
Quick question in the chat actually from Zoya.
Yeah.
How do you do the different font on the caption?
Well, funny you should ask, because I have there's probably other websites that you can use, but I often use this one here, which I've linked in this document. I'm getting a bunch of ads coming up, but yeah, basically you just write in something here and it literally comes up with all these funky options, so you can get super creative, and you literally just copy and paste it in. So that is how, that's the hack. It's pretty straightforward. And yeah, I've linked it at the bottom of this doc as well. So yeah, where was I? Visual identity. If not, it's still good to think about some projects you can create. Yeah, and it's really good to think about uses of color and type and layouts, because color is a really good, really simple way of like linking things together. I feel like I have another one up here that I wanted to. So like this is a really cool project that like some friends of mine have started, and it's basically a kind of like sexual wellness and well, it says it right there, basically to mission to destigmatize women's pleasure, and they have a really nice Instagram and they make really lovely posts, and green and brown are kind of like their colors, and you can kind of see that they've got lots of on their feed, these colors kind of like tie it together, and it's super nice. So that's just an example of that. But there's tons of ways that you can use color really simply to knit things together. Logo. So yeah, it's something to think about. Do you have one? If not, it's totally worth considering if it'd be something useful for you to have. And even as an individual, having a name logo is a very common thing for artists, DJs, to have their own. That can go on anything, you know. It can go on a record, it can go on a post, it can go on a poster, it can go on merch. Like it's kind of just a really good thing to have, and it's an extra visual signifier that it's you know. So like people will ideally over time it become, you know, get to a place where they'll kind of instantly recognize your logo. Yeah, I'd highly recommend having a think about it, and either trying to talk to someone about it if you know someone who could help you out with this, or yeah, just having a look online and gathering ideas of looking at different things that you like, logos that you might like, and thinking what could work for you. Situating yourself in the right community. So this is a really big part, a really, really big part of building your brand. So a lot of the time this comes really organically, especially if you have a really strong community around you naturally, and it's a particularly like grassroots organization that's, you know, built from the ground up, which is what happens a lot of the time. And in that sense, you kind of won't need to, it's not like you're, oh sorry, and that's what happens a lot of the time when things have grown naturally, and it doesn't come from like, it's not a big startup with investment and stuff. So yeah, thinking about like who your audience is, and writing down those different target audience groups, who they are and why they are. So we do this every year with Brainchild, and often it doesn't change. Most of the time it's the same, but it's an interesting exercise, and sometimes there are new demographics that come into it, or new focus areas that come into it, and it helps you kind of identify ways that you might be able to reach your target audiences more effectively. Yeah, I mean, I just listed a few ways here, but these are pretty like unimaginative. You can get much more creative than this, but this is just kind of the basics, and what we do with Rhythm Section and Brainchild. But yeah, mail outs, and MailChimp's only really if you've got a massive mailing list. So if you don't, then, you know, don't worry about that. But it's good to start building a mailing list if you have an organization, or as a DJ still, I think lots of people still have mailing lists, you know, people who want to find out what their latest gigs are, the latest news and what's going on. So if you want to start building a mailing list, to update people on what you're up to, that's a really nice thing to do. Bandcamp messages are a good way to get people if you have a Bandcamp. If you have an artist Bandcamp. Print marketing is not dead, I don't think. I reckon it's still relevant. So yeah, posters, flyers are still a really useful thing to do if you're promoting an event or promoting, I don't know, something else, a product. And yeah, call outs are quite a nice way to reach out to people. Things that are you know, encouraging people to get involved or allowing people to get involved in some way is really nice. We do tons of call outs with Brainchild, but that's because there's lots of reasons for that. It's not really an audience outreach strategy. It's just the nature of like the structure of how Brainchild works. You know, it involves a lot of different people doing lots of different jobs, and we need to find those people. But yeah, competitions, events are a huge part of audience outreach. And yeah, it depends on the kind of level, on what your aims are and the level that you're kind of operating at. But there's always going to be small, cute, cozy venues. I mean, there's tons all around London for putting things on. It's just really nice. I mean, so much happens on social media these days, and it is really nice to get in IRL and like meet people. And yeah, so that's that part of this document. Instagram, this is very much predominantly focused on Instagram, this discussion, mostly because it's the most relevant right now. I mean, obviously TikTok is also enormous, but I have to confess, I don't really know much about TikTok. So I hope that no one's come here hoping for specific TikTok advice, because I'm not the person. I'm really sorry. Maybe we will try and get a TikTok. Aisha knows about TikTok. Maybe we will try and get someone else on our team to do a TikTok talk. But this one is predominantly focused on Instagram. And also, I think we all know Facebook is pretty redundant these days. It's just about clinging on. There is I'm actually trying to work out, I'm kind of experimenting a bit with this year, trying to work out if there is actually any point in it at all, in having the events on there, or trying to reach people on there, because it just seems to be a wasteland, and just like tumbleweed. So yeah, Instagram, image selection, might be stating the obvious, but I can't emphasize enough how important clear, high quality, well lit images what they are and what a difference they make. And obviously, like, there are people out there who have a different aesthetic, a more lo-fi aesthetic, and that's totally a thing. I want to add the caveat to, like, pretty much all of this is all just guidance, and what I've learned makes for like more better traction on posts and like more engaging stuff in general. But obviously you've got to do your own thing, and if you've got a strong aesthetic that speaks to you and people respond to it, then that's sick. So the lo-fi thing is like, in terms of images that are maybe a blur, out of focus, or like whatever, it is a thing, but it's a very specific style. So I think unless you've got like a strong, clear like vision behind it, and or a strong style, I wouldn't do it. And I would stick with just clear like high quality imagery. That tends to be what the algorithm also responds to best. Human content seems like a, I don't know, seems like an oxymoron of sorts, but the algorithm loves faces. We all know this by now. So it's, yeah, it generally, I think things that have humans in do better. If you're trying to get a message across about something, but it depends what it is. These are all, obviously this is quite vague because it's a case by case thing, but but behind the scenes in this category, also behind the scenes type of imagery and footage really allows people to get to know the team behind the brand and become invested in its success on a more personal level. And it's something that, this is a tool that we use a lot with Brainchild and with Rhythm Section, is basically making it all feel very accessible. Maybe accessible is the wrong word, but I just mean letting people in and saying, this is what we're up to at Rhythm Section HQ, or this is what's happening at Brainchild HQ, this is the team, and just making it feel very personable. And we really find that, like, it helps people. It helps you build a relationship with people, and they're more likely to support and keep coming back if they feel like they know the people behind it and they like them. So hopefully, people like us. I don't know. And this is an example also, like when we're in the run up to the festival, something that we do with, like, we have something called making month, and it's like the month before the festival where all the decor and everything is made, and there's tons of stuff going on. The stages are being the stage designs are being built and the installations are being built, and we do these kind of takeovers, and the decor team might do a takeover and they kind of talk through everything, that a bunch of stuff that they're making, or an installation. Anyway, it's just an example of like a way to show people what's going on behind the scenes, and feels like they're kind of being let in behind the curtain, and I feel like people respond to that. Keeping the grid varied and dynamic. It's good to consider how the grid looks overall, because if it gets really repetitive and not visually varied, I think it's less likely that people will follow an account, as it presents less points of interest. So this is something to consider when you're thinking about visual identity, and when you're thinking about if you're going to use graphics, how consistently you're going to use them, what that format is, because I try not to make everything too graphic heavy on, and try to make it a mix of nice imagery and graphics on Brainchild. And same for Rhythm Section. But yeah, that's just something to bear in mind. There's got to be a bit of a balance there. I had my friend Zane's Instagram here because he just has such a gorgeous Instagram. And he's really kind of like made a career out of, he's got his own brand. But he has this really, really beautiful Instagram, with loads of gorgeous images, and of himself, and also just found images and images that he's taken, and art, architecture. Oh, that's cute. So yeah, I just wanted to have this here as an example of like, you can see that the kind of the variety is there. And I mean, I'd hope that you can kind of also see that in through the Brainchild Instagram. I mean, we have, yeah, so there's some graphics, and then there's some IRL images, and there's some video, and it's all kind of, yeah. So some people used to feed him more, yeah, so you probably would have all seen these like multi-tile imagery things. Henry actually did one of those. Let me see if I can find it. What is this? DJ Python. Oh, where's he gone? Oh, here he is. So, well, he did one here, but you can't really see it because it's gone out of sync, but there's another one down here. This kind of thing, like that, head Ardennes, can be quite fun. It's not for everybody, because what it means is that you kind of have to keep like posting in threes or whatever if you want to keep the formation there. So it's a bit of a commitment, but if you're trying to make a really big statement, it can be a fun thing to do. Okay. Yeah, using the rows as a format. Yeah, some people do, like 3070 the band, I could get their Instagram up, but they basically post 3 photos at a time, which is what a lot of people do, and it can be like 3 photos of a particular style, and like there's something that kind of like ties all the 3 photos together, and it can look quite cool. Or maybe the middle one is something different, and then the outer 2 kind of frame it in some way. Video selection. So the optimal length for a video is 15 to 30 seconds. People have incredibly short attention spans, as I'm sure we know, and you really just want to not waste any time and just get in there with the key info and the like peak energy. Longer videos can totally work if it's for a specific need or project. If it's a short film, like for instance, when we shared last year, when we shared the film, a film that somebody had made at Brainchild, that we had on our YouTube, and we like premiered it on our Instagram, and we can have the full length video there. That can also work really nice, work really nicely. But if it's just like if you're just kind of trying to advertise a party or a track or whatever, 15 to 30 seconds should do the trick. Copywriting. So tone. This is it. Obviously it depends what your aims are, but like in general, I find that like having a friendly, colloquial, personal tone is really great for like building rapport with people, and just like, you know, this also can sometimes feel really like awkward or unnatural, and takes some practice, and if that is the case, like it's maybe try just, you know, pretending that you're writing a message to a friend or something like this, but also hopefully like it's the kind of thing that becomes easier with time as you get, you know, positive response from people, and you can feel more confident about addressing them. Definitely taking a more stylized approach to things can also work too if you're going for like a more kind of conceptual image. Some people, you know, for instance, some people might just use one particular typeface, or like this person, Moss Tunstall, he like in each of his captions he puts a full stop after each word and it's quite oh shit, I think I just accidentally closed it. Oh well, it's quite a simple concept. He just puts a full stop after each letter, and it's obviously quite random, but it's just something that's like his style, and it's quite nice to have these little things that are your own, and then just add to like your personal brand. So that's just one example of ways that you can mix it up if you want to. Length. And one more thing on tone. I think humor, if you can, is sometimes hard, and you also feel really self-conscious when you're trying to like be funny and you're like, oh my god, do I just sound like a massive dork? And you might sound like a massive dork, but it's actually okay. People generally are nice out there, or at least they won't tell you that you sound like a massive dork. So sometimes it's worth just trying to put yourself out there. If you're wanting to have a bit of humor in your tone, and come across in a friendly way. Length. Oh yeah, and here is I linked the website where I changed the fonts. Okay, so it is of course like preferable to avoid long captions if possible, as I've said, like people have short attention spans, and even things that I'm interested in, even like, sometimes if it's a long thing, you're tired, you can't be bothered to read the whole thing, people are less likely to engage. But sometimes you have got to get a lot of information across, and you'll just hope that like if people really are interested and care, then they will read it. But if you can, try and avoid long captions, and finding other, if there is a lot of information to get across, sometimes infographic tiles are a better way of doing that, because it's just more digestible. People are used to processing information in that way now, on stories, and just like swiping through. So that's a thought if you're trying to like get an important piece of information across, or in the caption, like just simple thing of breaking things down, rather than it being like into sentences or a couple of sentences, rather than it being like a big block, is another way of doing it. I like to use emojis. I think emojis are cute. I think they're fun. I think they make things nicer to look at with your eyes, and but that's just me. Lots of people hate them with a passion, so don't force it if it ain't right for you. But they are a really good tool for expressing yourself as a brand, as an individual, because there's so many of them and the possibilities are endless, and they're colorful and cute. So stories, reels, I think we probably all know this, but stories are king right now. They just seem to be kind of almost eclipsing posts in terms of like engagement, and just people are just watching stories more than they are scrolling on their feed and seeing posts. So they are just as important, if not more important, than doing grid posts as a promotional tool. Instagram also seems to be pushing video content, stories and reels, so it's really good to make the most of that. Sometimes it can be like, okay, I know the feeling of like you get a big post out and you're like, okay, thank God that's done. You just want to put your phone down and forget about it. But doing a story is really important to story if you're trying to sell something, or promote something, or spread some kind of message. Then stories are I'd say pretty essential. You can also just keep them flowing in a very casual way, just chuck them up every other day or whatever it is. And obviously resharing stories, adding personal comments can be a nice touch, just makes it feel more genuine. Basically, stories are important, we should use them. Tools of Instagram, this is all quite basic stuff, but tag as many people as you can in your posts, in your stories, obviously relevant to whatever it is, and that just helps kind of spread the word a bit further. Adding music, I have really found that people click more on things when there's music, or they swipe up more. Well, the swipe up's kind of a thing of the past now, I guess, but they click on links more when there's music. So use that tool on the story. Links, make sure you add those links in. Community, spread the love and it will come back to you. It's super. I see like a lot of artists and people that I know who just like share other people, like artists in their communities, work and stuff, just like bigging it up, and I think that's a really nice thing to do. And yeah, hopefully, you know, that'll come back to you if that's yeah, doing live videos are a really great way to connect with your audience in a more intimate way and kind of build your confidence in your relationship with them. So it might be a scary thing to do, but I think it can be really fun and reaffirming, and just it's just something to think about. If there's a particular, like, we did these things over lockdown, it was kind of a useful thing, and we did these like at home with sessions with Brainchild. It was kind of these like fun Q&A sessions. So relationship with social media, this is a really, 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 really important one. I haven't written much here, but I have things to say about it. So important. Social media is like fucking hard. I have such a fraught relationship with it. I have a real love-hate, no, not even love, I don't love social media at all, but I just have a really difficult relationship with it, and most people do. Some people, it feels like it comes so naturally to them, and they can just, like, an extension of their arm, and they can just like do all this promo and everything, and it's like, how do they do it? I think it's really important to listen to yourself, and if it's making you miserable, if it's making you anxious, it's so not worth it. Or it's worth coming back to the drawing board, trying to re-strategize, thinking about what other options are. Is there anybody else who can do this for me? Is there a way that I can, this is really this is a tip. If you find that like being on social media every day or posting every day or a lot is really stress inducing, which I think for most people it is, it can be a good option to schedule posts or to like pre-plan your copy, pre-plan your posts and your assets, and then schedule them, or at least have them ready to go, so that you don't end up spending an hour of time doing it every single day, and it can be really draining. So unfortunately you can't schedule stories, so that is one thing. But yeah, nothing is more important than mental health. So and people have very successful careers not using Instagram, but it is more challenging, and it is kind of the biggest tool at our disposal right now. And it feels yeah, there's a lot of pressure there, and I understand it might feel like there isn't an option not to use it, but I just wanted to stress that there always is, and yeah, if it's not making you feel good, just think about it. So could talk about that for ages, to be honest, but I won't, because I've been talking for so long. We're almost there. Here are some links for a few different apps for productivity optimization. Linktree, you guys would have seen the link trees in people's bios where you can have different links. It's a really nice thing if you've got lots of different things you're trying to share with people. Later, this is a scheduling app that we use at Rhythm Section. Canva is like, I don't actually use this, but it's like if you want to plan your grid and help you see how things are going to look together, if like aesthetics are a real big part of what you do, then that's a good thing. That's another one, Hopper, that does that, helps you plan your feed. TweetDeck, y'all know about TweetDeck, maybe, I'm guessing. Scheduling tweets. If you have Twitter, that's your boy. So it's good to have, keep evolving and assessing. It's good to have semi-regular check-ins with your brand to make sure you're still happy with the direction that it's going in, and that the tone output still best reflects the brand in light of any changes of circumstances, i.e. lockdown. If we are stuck at home, this will obviously impact the type of content we're producing. We need to be able to pivot and adapt to these kind of changes and use them to our advantage as much as possible. So ask yourself, maybe 2021 versus 2022, what has changed? How do I want to level up? I've written brainchild example, and also obviously like, you know, engaging with politics, or trends or social change, things that are going on that are important to people and important, maybe things that are important to you, and if you want to be responding to those. The brainchild example I was going to use was so last year, or 2020 and 2021 really, it was just hard. It was obviously very, very hard for everybody. We had to cancel the festival in 2020. We had to have a crowdfunder and fundraise. We lost a lot of money. Thankfully, we met our fundraising target. But we didn't even know if the festival was going to happen last year. And we did this thing called a crowd cover pledge, where we had people, it was incredible, and everybody got behind it. But they committed half their ticket money, which meant that in the event of a last minute cancellation due to a COVID, you know, if we had to suddenly go into lockdown and the festival had to be cancelled and all the money on the pre-production had already been spent, etc., booking artists, whatever it is, they would only get half their ticket money back. So we had this whole campaign that we were sharing and talking about, and it was a year and a half of really we had very, very transparent dialogue with our audience about what we were having to do, and there was a lot of earnestness, there was a lot of probably desperation, there was a lot of really trying to like communicate with people how much we needed stuff or how much we needed them, and it was probably quite tiresome for us, and I've no doubt it was tiresome for everybody who was sticking with us all the way and on that journey, but thankfully people did. But basically for 2022 we were like, oh my god, the earnestness has to stop. We need a refresh. We cannot be on survival mode. We cannot be like, you know, we need to just like, it needs to be light, it needs to be fun, it needs to be humorous, and we need to just like leave that behind us. So that was the shift that we needed to make in 2022, because we just didn't want, so that's that. Other little tips: look at brands, people that you engage with a lot and whose content you enjoy, and think about what aspects of it appeal to you. That's just a nice little exercise to figure out what you might like. And I've already said this, but above all else, just do you. There's no hard and fast rules for this stuff. This is just guidelines. Let your uniqueness shine through, and people will see it, appreciate it, and respond to it. As we saw with Tracy's Instagram. I love it. So yeah, that is all of that stuff. Wow, that was so long. You guys, let me know if you have any questions. We were gonna do like a live feed workshop section that was like, if you wanted to show me your Instagram, and I could like say, that is good and that is not so good because of this and this and this. We can still do that if you want, although I don't have long, or quick Q&A, or we can all just, I won't be offended if you don't have anything to ask me, or if you don't want to do that workshop. So it's no stress. Just let me know what you're thinking.
I'm just going to dive in firstly by saying thank you. That was a huge amount of information. My brain feels slightly like I need to go away and read this and take it in. It's awesome. I can see Tracy's got a question though. Do you want to go for it, Tracy?
Hiya. Hi. So this is, I'm not here for my own Instagram because I just don't take that seriously at all.
Yeah.
But I'm here for my collective's Instagram, because basically we have a collective member who's proper like on the ball, and she has an eye for aesthetic, but she's basically taken a step back from Instagram because it's just unhealthy. She has an unhealthy relationship with it. So we're all just basically trying to think of how all three of us can like have a really nice Instagram feed that will help people like come to our events and like still engage with the collective and stuff like that, because we feel that things have died down a little bit, obviously because of lockdown and us kind of having a different approach towards Instagram, which is just not thinking it's that deep. But obviously we still want to attract people to parties and stuff. So I was just wondering if one, you'd like to maybe have a look at our Instagram, if like for the next 2 minutes or whatever, and maybe give some feedback on how we can improve. And yeah, I think it's just number one, just feedback and how we can improve, to be honest.
Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah, totally. We can do that.
Cool.
Oh wait, so yeah, okay, let me try get it up here. Is this all hands on deck?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, okay, cool. I'm gonna search. Oh my god, look at that pug. Okay. So cool. I mean, at a glance, I think it looks really nice. You've got some nice images here. You know, these shots from like in the club or in the events are really nice. Got some lemon lounge stuff. It seems like a nice mix of like casual stuff. You know, like this, for instance, the lineup when you kind of just, it's quite like just a casual DIY moment. This kind of stuff is really nice. Obviously, people love to to see your face. Crunchy butts. Okay. I like the sound of that. This is really fun. I mean, I guess it's like if you're trying to yeah, obviously there's like a lot of humor there, and it's just one thing I will say, I mean, this is quite like memey, and I think like memey stuff does do well, and stuff that with humor and animals. People obviously like animals. In general, one thing I tend to think of with graphics is I try to make text minimal. I find that things that are really text heavy, people aren't that responsive to. I think it's also an algorithmy thing where it's like Instagram's supposed to be about images rather than text, and I think things with images just don't seem to do that well. But like obviously sometimes you want to share a flyer, and yeah, I'm just flicking through. So you've got this template for your mix series. That looks cool. That's nice. I would say maybe make, if you can, make the picture a little bigger. Just because things just get, it's smaller, but then it's even smaller on phones, and then her little face is even smaller and you probably can't even see it. And also, yeah, I don't know, I obviously we're actually having this conversation at the moment about the black and white thing, because we have this template with Brainchild, and it's like a kind of colorful template, and then you don't really want the images to like clash with it. But yeah, I do like the way you've done it, and I really like the all hands on deck kind of border. But I also just find, I'm just gonna say this isn't, you know, I also just, I'm like, I have done this for my work for a few years now, and I have picked up a sense of like what people respond to more than others. But you know, this, yeah, I actually can't even remember what I was saying, but I have found that generally things that have like a templated things, I think it's partly the algorithm, I think it's partly people's like losing interest, but like I find that templated stuff doesn't really do as well as like just images. And I can see that you've tried, like you've also got, for instance, like the image here, you've just got the border on it like that, and the same here, and sometimes that can work as well. I feel like this copy, this text sorry, this typeface could be like more fun. I don't know. Like it feels a little formal to me.
Just to clarify, that's not our typeface, that's for Reform Radio. So they've got
that's their thing.
So they should make.
Okay, cool. Yes, that makes sense. Thank you for clarifying. I see. Yeah. But honestly, sorry, I feel like I'm giving you really general stuff. It's hard, it's a bit tricky to flick through. Also, haven't been able to like look at the copy and stuff. But I mean, this is nice because you're doing like in focuses on artists, and I think that kind of stuff is really lovely for people who are genuinely interested in like getting to know them, and also just like getting more information about that artist out there that you're trying to platform. But yeah, I think it's looking good. Like I think these kind of images are super nice. Things that have energy, things that have smiles, as corny as it sounds, and things that are fun and humorous. And yeah, I'd say like where you can avoid text and maybe thinking about I think this format does work, but maybe having the pictures a bit bigger could be a touch. I'm gonna stop talking, and also maybe I will have another look at this, and maybe I'll DM you if I think of anything else, because I will just literally keep talking to fill the air if I don't stop.
Don't worry about it. No, I'm glad that like at least it looks enticing enough for people to still be interested. I was just worried that maybe we've lost our edge or something.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I think it's lovely. Please don't be discouraged. One thing I would say is like maybe your photo, your like
changing the logo. We're already on it.
I don't even know what it's called on Instagram. Yeah. Okay, cool. Just because obviously you can't read the small. You said you're changing it anyway, so whatever. Cool. Yeah.
Nice. Thank you.
That's okay. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. Please don't be discouraged. Instagram can be like an infuriating place because sometimes you'll put loads of effort into something and you'll think, oh my god, this is gonna like really land, and then like 2 people will like it and you can't even work out. You're like, I posted it at the perfect time and I did all the things right, why is no one interested? And honestly, there is still just an element of mystery with Instagram, like the algorithm. Sometimes things just slip under it, they just slip right under, and it can be really frustrating, even when you've got 13,000 followers or you've got 40. Instagram Rhythm Section's got 46,000 followers and we still have posts that totally fall completely flat. So it's not that people aren't interested necessarily. It's just sometimes Instagram isn't looking out for you. But just keep doing your thing, and it's about if you just keep getting stuff out there, then eventually things should pick up and people yeah.
I sometimes think about it like you're playing a game where you don't know the rules, like, and so you just have to keep playing and see what happens, and sometimes you lose and sometimes you win.
Like all of this stuff is just like stuff that I've learned from working on Instagram for like the last 3 or 4 years. But it seems to work, like it both Rhythm Section and like when I started on Brainchild's Instagram, we had 7,000 followers, and that was at the start of 2020. And when I started on Rhythm Sections, we had like less than 20,000. So I mean, obviously things grow naturally, but like I think there is some method in.
Take some credit.
But yeah. But thank you for listening to me talk.
Thank you so much. That was amazing. In terms of sharing your notes, I've got Zoya's contact details so I can share them with her. Tarek, I'll drop them in the Discord, which I think you're in.
Have you got it, Emily, or should I?
Oh yeah, can you send it to me? That'd be a good start.
I'll just Slack it to you now.
Thank you. I'm going to just stop this recording as well. But yeah, thank you guys for coming.